CZI Congress. I seem to have lost my two colleagues. I think they had lunch somewhere, or goodness knows, Tinashe is probably in an argument with someone. But I've managed to corner somebody who actually knows what he's talking about, Jimmy Psillos, industrialist extraordinaire. He's been in business in this country for a very, very long time. And before that, your father?
And my father, that's correct. And my mother as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I think every single one of us has sampled his most famous product in this country, if only as change during the 80 days. You've got this guy to blame for the Crystal Mint. He's the proprietor of Crystal Candy. Welcome to the show, Jimmy.
Thanks, George. It's nice to be on.
And you know, you're our first white guest.
No way.
Yeah. I'm not sure the crew even knows what to do with your skin color.
Well, I'm honored.
Would you like some wine?
Yes, please.
I'm afraid that's all I've got to offer. Rufaro, who's usually responsible for our bar, is nowhere to be found. So we're having a Nederburg Lyric, mid-range wine that is widely available in local supermarkets.
Cheers.
Cheers. We've had plenty of very eventful summer afternoons over this with Rufaro.
Very nice, thank you.
Jimmy, how have you found the conference so far?
I've enjoyed it, George. As you know, the theme is manufacturing for manufacturing.
Yep.
Okay. So, CZI's research has shown that a lot of the inputs, industrial inputs, are actually imported. Mm-hmm. Yet, there's opportunities to make them locally. Great opportunities.
And thereby increase the value add.
And thereby increase the value add. So a very good example is sodium hydroxide. Okay.
What is that?
It's a chemical which is used in lots of manufacturing processes, and it's made from salt. Okay.
Salt.
Salt. Okay. Now we import all our salt, and we import all our sodium hydroxide. Now there's actually plenty of salt in them. I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. And you can make sodium hydroxide out of salt.
So why is nobody doing this?
Exactly. Why is nobody doing this? Another great example is craft paper. Okay.
Yep.
So craft paper, apparently there's now technology.
Known to the rest of us as khaki paper.
As khaki paper, yes. Known to the rest of us as khaki paper.
Yeah.
So apparently out of some of the waste product out of cotton, you can make craft paper with new technology.
And nobody's doing this.
And no one doing it. So the opportunities are there. Okay. What are the obstacles? Obviously, it's all about the business environment. We always talk about FDI, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's actually no conceptual difference between a local investor and a foreign investor. Because you have to put money down, you have to earn a return.
Okay.
Right, so now let's give an example, right? Let's say I can produce sodium hydroxide locally, and my cost will be equivalent of $1. We all know that if I'm making it locally and my cost equivalent of $1, it's probably, my selling price will probably be somewhere in the region of about $140.
$1.40.
No, $1 is my cost,
yes.
Right? But remember, the exchange rate, let's talk blended exchange rate.
Oh, sorry, 140 of those dollars. Oh, okay.
Of those dollars, right. That would be by selling price, right? If my selling price was going to be $1, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're the customer, you can go to the auction and get that $1 at a rate of 100.
Yes.
So why would you buy from me at 140? See the problem? So this exchange rate distortion that we've got.
Wait, say that again.
Right. So you, the customer, right? Right now you're importing sodium hydroxide.
For $1.
For $1 US.
But I get it on auction.
You get it on auction. Okay. And you priority because you're manufacturing, which is right. Okay. So you go to the auction and you're getting that sodium hydroxide
at 99.7.
Yes. And let's say you're bidding over 100. A lot of people are bidding over 100, 100 and maybe 101, $102.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you and I'm saying I can give it to you at the same $1, but because my cost base is now more of the blended exchange rate, my selling price would be say 140. Why would you buy from me?
Yeah, nobody would do that.
No one would do that. So therefore, why would I invest in production when the market isn't there? So this exchange rate distortion has got these implications around, I mean, it's one of the many implications of an exchange rate distortion.
So if you could have a glass of wine with the governor, what would be your advice?
So we've one of the paradoxes of Zim is this, right? If you take what we call M0, which is all the actual Zim dollars,
Notes and coins.
notes, coins, and demand deposits at the central bank.
Okay.
Okay. Basically,
Are you an economist?
I've studied a lot of economics, but I'm not an economist. Okay?
Yeah, see, I told you, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. I like to think I do, but others may not. Okay, so all the money in Zim,
Yep.
it's notes, coins, and demand deposits at the central bank.
Yep.
That's all the money which is transactable on a daily basis. Everything else is tied up in loans and government securities and other stuff.
Yep. So
But-
money that
Transactable.
people can use to make a payment now.
Today, yeah.
With a card, with an RTGS,
Yes,
or
that's
from
it.
their pocket.
That's it. 27 billion Zim dollars, plus or minus.
Okay.
Okay, right?
I wish Smasher was here.
Yeah. 27 billion Zim dollars at an exchange rate of 100 is 270 million.
Not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money. Now let's look at the US dollars, which are available for transaction today. Okay,
Yeah.
right. There's 1.7 billion in the Nostros.
Yes.
Right. That's
Available.
available. Right. Okay. The Reserve Bank's got probably about 200 million of reserves of its own.
Do they?
Yeah, they always keep a minimum balance. Remember.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Then you've got the SDRs, another 900 million plus or minus. Okay.
So,
Okay.
1.7, 1.9, best part of 3 billion.
Yeah.
2.8.
2.8. That doesn't include all, because we know Zimbabwe is not an economy known for banking its cash, right? Okay. So you've got all this cash in the informal sector,
Under mattresses.
under mattresses, in safe deposit boxes, such like, in safes, right? Okay.
So round it up to 3.
Round up. It's more than 3, right?
3.5.
3.5, right? 3.5. That's available for transaction today
Yep.
versus 270 million Zim dollars today. You can see the disconnect here.
Okay.
So if we were to go back to 2009 to 2015 period, right, we had a situation whereby even though we were saying it was dollarized, in reality we were using a local electronic currency which was backed by US dollars.
Okay.
Because the balances that you had in the bank, right, your bank statement,
Yes.
it wasn't, the US dollars weren't all there.
They were actually sitting in a offshore, most of it, in Nostros.
In Nostros, right? But a lot of them were also just backed by loans, domestic loans, right? But because there was enough backing for the currency, there was never a problem. So what we can do to solve our forex issues, literally overnight, is to reinstitute that system of formal backing. Okay. So what we're simply saying is that we've got 27 billion Zim dollars, right? Let's say, because to back the currency, you also have to allow for things like maturities of government debt and so on, right? So let's call it, you need, say, 500 million, plus or minus, to back the currency, right?
Okay. Well,
Okay.
how would you go from 270 to 500?
You need a buffer to be comfortable, right? I'm actually pushing the number higher than probably it needs to be.
Okay.
So let's say 500 million. We've got the 500 million, right? We've got much
we've
more
got
than
3
5
billion.
Yeah, we've got more than 3 billion. You introduce a mechanism through which the currency is formally backed. We're not saying at a fixed exchange rate, but at the exchange rate of the day. What that then means is that anybody who's got local currency, there is forex sitting in the Nostro backing it. So if for whatever reason you want forex,
You can get it.
you can get it.
But an important part of this is the presumption that we trust whoever is in charge to maintain this balance.
Correct.
Because we, as you say, we had it 2009 to
Yes,
16,
that's
17
it.
thereabouts, and it worked. And then it didn't.
And then it didn't, exactly. And that's because we went out of balance. Okay, so what was the major reason we went out of balance, okay? It was the pressure on the fiscus, okay? So because the government was running a deficit, how were they financing the deficit? Reserve Bank overdraft, okay? When they created this Reserve Bank overdraft, effectively that broke the backing, right? Now, however, we are in a much better fiscal space. We basically have got a balanced budget.
Now, have you heard of a debt assumption bill? That's before Parliament?
For the fiscus to assume the RBZ's debt.
Yes.
What implications do you see there?
No, I'm saying you say we're balancing the budget. How do we suddenly have all this money that we're asking Parliament to approve to us, that the state assumes it?
It assumes a debt, right?
Yes.
Which it then repays over time.
But it means we've been overspending.
In the past, right?
Okay. So you believe a line's been drawn in the sand somewhere, and
I like to
Talking
think
about
that. I mean, I could be wrong, of course. But certainly whatever you look at in terms of published numbers, show that this line has been drawn in the sand. The Reserve Bank is no longer giving an overdraft to government. In fact, government is actually in credit at the Reserve Bank, right? So fiscally, we're very sustainable. The fiscal pressure was the main reason that the previous system broke down. Okay, but let's take, because this Reserve Bank currency concept is not something which I dreamt up, right?
No.
Okay, it's been used in other countries.
So, sounds like one of Tinashe's swear words in the show. Currency board.
So Bulgaria uses it, right? What do Bulgaria do to ensure confidence? They have an independent audit firm come in every week and audit the central bank and confirm, right?
Every week.
Every week. And they confirm that as of that day, there's adequate foreign reserves to back the currency. So when Bulgaria introduced their system in 1997, still running today, okay, they started with about $600 million backing their currency. Now they've got more than 10 billion. Because once people wake up to the fact that the currency is backed, you don't need to hold forex because you know there's backing.
So there's two things. So you need to have confidence in the system, but for you to get the confidence in the system, you're saying there's two things. It's discipline and transparency.
Yes, discipline and transparency.
And you think we're starting to show green shoots of discipline?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm an optimist, but I think we are showing green shoots of discipline.
I hope you're right.
I also hope I'm right, by the way.
I really, really hope you're right. So why do you think we're not taking the step? Is it because people think that this means we're dollarizing, or is it?
Yeah, maybe.
Is it political?
And I want to emphasize that it's not dollarizing, because we're not saying in this concept that I'm talking about, right? We're not talking about a fixed exchange rate, right? Because one of the other reasons the previous system fell apart was that we were locked into a one-to-one exchange rate. So when the rand took a tumble, South Africa being our biggest trading partner, when the rand took a tumble starting in 2011, right? We couldn't react because we were fixed at one-to-one.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, South African manufacturers became cheaper overnight, and we were taken to the cleaners as local manufacturers.
Yep.
Right. Now, the beauty of this system that we're proposing here is we're not fixing an exchange rate. We're simply saying that whatever the exchange rate happens to be, we back it.
But
so that means if the government realizes that, let's say we start off at a rate of, say, 120, for example, right? And we find that the economy is struggling, there's competitive pressures, we're getting a bit of deflation, which, as you know, deflation is quite bad. We can then say, okay, guys, we're getting deflation, let's push up the exchange to 130. That means that the government can inject that difference in liquidity.
But okay, hang on. But how does this work with a government that is highly indebted, has got a huge interest burden? So, you want to be disciplined, you can't print. What happens if the rate moves and your debt repayments go up in local currency?
Okay, what happens to your revenue when the rate moves as well?
It depends.
It depends, exactly. It depends. And I'm not saying that this takes away the need for prudent fiscal management and forecasting and scenario planning and the like. You need to manage your budget. Just as a business, right? I don't know what business revenues I'm going to have tomorrow, right? They could be up, they could be down. You've got a plan.
Yeah.
Same in government. But now we've got a lot more fiscal space. And you can see that in the sense that government has been able to invest in a lot of infrastructure projects. You know?
But at the expense of a lot of other things.
At the expense of other things, yes.
Have you been to a local clinic lately?
No.
One of the guys who works for me went to a local clinic. Do you know what he got?
Paracetamol?
Not even. He got a note.
You got a
that
note.
he injured his finger at work. No paracetamol, no bandages, nothing. You got a note to take to a pharmacy.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that Sweden, okay. Right. But what I'm saying is that we've got enough money within the system to stabilize the exchange rate in a sustainable way, which can then allow us to build an economy that can then take care of these other needs.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Before I let you go, I want to take you up on one thing. So, I mean, obviously, all these great ideas require engagement between business and the government. And I speak of the government broadly, central bank, the presidency, Ministry of Finance, etc. And you've been on this block for a while now.
Yes.
How do you feel about the level of engagement at the moment? Is business talking to government? Are we talking to the right people? Are we being heard? Are we saying the right things?
Okay, so the level of engagement I think is better than it's been in my memory. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, it is better, definitely, than in my memory. And we can certainly say that from the RBZ side, from the Ministry of Finance side, they're very open to engage. But obviously, at the end of the day, they can't guarantee that if we go, for example, and see the governor cannot promise that I'll listen to you guys. But he will, when I say listen, that he will listen, but that he will do as we ask. Okay. But in terms of the quality of engagement, it's been better than in my memory it's ever been. Okay.
And are we saying the right things to the governor?
We like to think we are, but obviously there's ongoing. Engagement is a process, right?
Okay, but I'm trying to find the right words to say this, to ask this question without insulting. But I'm just asking.
I don't mind being insulted.
Were you in business under UDI, or was that your dad?
No, it was my dad. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. I mean, you were probably young at the time. But compared to how Ian Smith and the so-called 5 captains at the time, compared to now.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know.
So what's the grey hair for?
But I can tell you, I think that in general terms, doing business in that kind of environment there would have been good for the connected, if you know what I'm saying, but bad for everybody else.
And you think it's different now?
I think it is different now, yeah. I think it is different now. I think there's a lot of businesses in this economy who we don't even know about, who are just getting on with it and just getting things done. I'm sure you'll be shocked, okay, at businesses which have just mushroomed, right? Which you never have heard of, but suddenly they're there. And I think you go into a supermarket, right, and see a proliferation of new local products.
That's true.
From businesses that you've never heard of, and making good stuff as well.
That's true. And we continue at the CZI Congress 2021. I've been walking around some of the exhibitions here. I still can't find Dumb and Dumber, aka Tinashe and Rufara. No idea what's happened. I've lost them. But I've been walking around some of the stands, and I've come across some very interesting stuff. On day one, we were speaking to Sekai, the CEO of CZI, and she was talking about innovation and the need for institutions of higher learning and industry to come together and innovate and create new products, new technologies that will drive this economy forward. I, for one, was very, very skeptical about whether or not this is actually happening. But as I was walking around some of the exhibitions here, I came across an old friend, Carol.
Hi.
How are you, Carol?
I'm good.
Oh, by the way, sorry, how rude of me. Would you guys like a drink? It's just
Why
water
not?
for me.
When it's winter. I'll
You-
have
you-
some water.
Your teachers aren't around. But you're going to have some wine.
I'll have some, yes.
Yeah, I'd have wondered what's happened to you
If I
in the
stay
interlude
there.
that we haven't been together. Okay, so you guys will ask me. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll be fine with water.
Wonderful. Thanks. You know you're over 18, right? You're allowed to drink. Anyway, so I bumped into Carol, an old friend. When I last knew her, she was doing something completely different. But now you're doing something very exciting.
Completely different but exciting. Yes, I am the business development lead at the UZ Innovation Hub. You you're going to ask me what the Innovation Hub is next.
Yes.
So what we do at the Innovation Hub is we take knowledge and transfer it to industry. So it could be research, it could be an idea.
Do you take knowledge or do you create knowledge?
We also create knowledge because we're a university. So what had happened in the past under what they call Education 3.0, a lot of the research remained on the shelf, if you like, or just as an IP. What we do is we take it further and we actually commercialize it and transfer it into products or new products or services, improved or new as well. And we actually provide that to the general public, as opposed to it remaining in the ground like minerals do. So the difference is.
Can you say that like to my mother now?
Okay.
So what do you guys do?
So you come with an idea,
Okay.
and we listen to the idea, or we look at the product and the prototype, and you may need help taking it to the next step, or taking it to the shelf in the shop. We do all of that. So from idea to shelf or market. That's what the UZ Innovation Hub does.
Okay, I don't know if I'm any wiser, but I think we've got two people here that may be good practical examples
Yes.
of what you actually do. Who's going to go first? Ladies first.
Okay, thank you.
And you are?
My name is Aline Andrigu.
Aline Andrigo.
I'm a graduate innovator at the Innovation Hub.
You're a graduate innovator. What does that mean?
I am doing wonders. Okay, coming with brilliant ideas to work. So,
Okay.
so we want to move on from just having ideas and then keep them in the book. And then we make money out of those ideas. So that's what the Innovation Hub is serving us for.
Okay, so tell us what you're doing in the Innovation Hub. What are you doing, and how has the university helped you?
Okay, so I'm a food scientist. So I came up with
Food scientist, that sounds really fancy.
Thank you. So I come up with food products, new food products. So this one I have here. I named them Prinko. So they are just puffs. You can have a look.
Like
Just puffs.
puffs, like,
Corn
yeah,
curls.
okay. You're not allowed to say that. Ranga is going to get upset, our producer. But okay, you said it. They're like corn curls. But so what makes your corn curls special?
Okay. We're using traditional grains, our local traditional grains. Sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet.
Nobody knows what that stuff is. Can you tell us the
Okay,
names
I'm
we
going
know?
to tell you. Okay, so sorghum is mafunde. Mafunde, there's white sorghum and red sorghum. I'm also using pearl millet, which is munga.
So my corn curls are munga.
Eh,
Are they nice?
really nice.
Can I taste?
Unfortunately, I can't allow you that now.
Eh?
Unfortunately, at that moment, I can't allow you to taste.
Oh, right,
You
okay.
You see them flooding on the market.
Okay, so you created this. How did you do that? How did you have the idea?
Okay, got into the market. What was the problem? Most products are always made of maize or wheat, and there's also climatic change. So we want to promote the consumption and utilization of our local resources or local traditional grains. These grains are also high in nutrient compared to other grains. So if you look at them, we actually did a nutritional profiling in the lab.
Okay.
They're actually high in nutrient content, for example, mineral and protein. We added some bit of protein to them. So, and also the processing itself, we are not allowing it to be super refined so that we do not lose much nutrient.
Okay, so this is your idea.
Yes.
You didn't get this on the internet.
No, go on the internet and see if you can find something like that.
Okay, so you've got these.
Yeah, so they come in different flavors.
Okay, chicken.
We have tomato. We also have chicken.
Okay,
chutney.
and so what has the Innovation Hub done for you?
So the Innovation Hub has done a lot for it. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the university. So, like I said, I just had an idea, a theoretical idea. So all the developments that we have done to come up with this, the Innovation Hub has assisted, especially financially and even mentorship to come up with.
They gave you money.
Yes.
We fund the innovation.
You guys
from
have money?
idea to startup.
You have money.
Yes, we do.
Oh, right.
You should come talk to us. But the beginning point point, when I say idea, if we're talking commercial language, that's the intellectual property. So we actually file an IP for the innovators to protect their invention. And that will lead to future licensing should we find a big manufacturer, if they wanted to use that recipe. Those royalties would go back to Ali as a practical example. That's the starting point of the commercialization process.
So you've graduated and now you've got a job working for yourself.
Yes, something like that.
Have you made some money?
And actually looking to creating employment, because this is going to be commercial.
Wow.
Run production lines, and in future I would like to come up with more products, more food products made from these traditional grains.
Interesting. And you, sir?
Okay, my name is Kapil. As well, I work along with Arlene in the Innovation Hub, and one of the inventions that I'm working on is a asset tracker. So our asset tracker could be used on vehicles as well as smart blind sticks and animals. And what differentiates ours from what's available?
Sorry, what's an asset tracker?
Okay, an asset tracker is
Explain this to my mom.
Sure. It's a device that will send out a signal to tell other people exactly where you are and at what time.
Please don't tell my wife about this.
You'd be surprised how many people want this for their spouses.
Okay. So, is this it?
This is the tracker.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, sure, you can.
Okay.
This is a
So-
prototype at the moment, and so we're looking at a functional prototype, I might add. And once we validate on the features and make sure that this is a perfect product, we will even downsize it and make it even smaller.
So, but what makes yours special? I mean,
So
most of our cars already have something like this in them.
Sure. What makes this different and special is that what's available on the market is a subscription-based model. And the idea for this tracker came from a low-cost tracker, which should not charge a hefty amount, because a lot of people, especially those that have more than one car, if you want tracking, you're paying for the tracker whether you're using the car or not. And as your fleet scales up, it's sometimes not affordable. And so this idea came in for a tracker where it only charges you when you use it and nothing at all if you're not using it. And therefore we utilize SMS, and for $1.65 RTGS, that is, you can track your vehicles when you want to, and if you don't, it's not costing you anything.
Okay.
We also made the hardware and programmed the software.
Wow. So what's the next step? Have you got investors?
Yes, we do have investors, and we're looking at adding different products. So based on the tracker, we were then looking at adding additional few nitty-gritty things here and there, like driver detection, as well as making it work in different areas of application. So, for example, a vehicle immobilizer. Apart from tracking, you'd want to control your car and make sure you can disable it in such a case when it is stolen, or you just don't want, maybe, you know, you've heard your kids are drunk and you don't want them to be driving. You can then just switch off the car, go retrieve them safely, and then you switch it back on again.
Okay. So you're ready to, so you've got investors, you're about to further develop it, and are these investors going to take you to the point of actually producing it and selling it?
Yes, so
Or you're going to find new investors?
the biggest investor is the Innovation Hub, and the journey
Okay,
we are
you've
going
been
to...
busy.
I have 35 innovations on the pipeline, yes.
So the idea is then to work with forming a company that will start local manufacturing as well as selling these and providing support thereafter.
And we assist with that as part of the industrialization story.
Okay, but I'm not hearing you saying that you're working with big companies in industry. Why is this? Where's the gap? Why is this not happening? Or is it?
Well, how many big companies are there in industry? So one of the policy
Well, you're at
drives,
the Congress.
one of the policy drives is to create more in this space, because that hasn't happened in the past 20 years or so. This is why we are getting a lot of funding from a policy initiative, is that we talk of reviving a lot of the big sort of 1990s companies, 1980s companies. Remember when Cisco was like this? All we are doing is providing a different type of industrialization that's lean, that's quick to start up, that's quick to market, and the heritage, I'm going to go policy on you, the heritage isn't Shona and Devele Kalanga. The heritage is what's locally available. Let's use what we have without using forex to import everything. So, or even importing to make the component parts. So when we're looking at the innovation, those are some of the drivers that we look at when we're selecting which ones will make it into the hub. There's an import substitution story. So we're actually trying to kickstart industrialization. The big names, he has them, but they're classified, which is why he can't say. He's got potentially 5. And then...
Wow, you've got 5
Yes.
funders knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And we're talking proper money.
Yes.
Wow. And Arlene?
It's the same. It's the
Really?
same. Yeah, like that's what we're working on right now, so that we see how we get into the market and invest properly.
Wow. I mean, you know, on the first day of the Congress, we were struck by the level of positivity among Congress attendees. And we were not sure how much of it was real, how much of it was perhaps them being in an echo chamber. But it sounds like things are happening.
Well, I think for us as the innovation hub, we can assist with processes. So we can actually make things cheaper because we have the research and we've got the whole university behind us to actually look at processes within industry to try and either bring in new products or to fix inefficiencies or to help where there is supply chain problems, where we can look at locally available stuff and actually import it. That's one way. But in this story that's here, it's not only to kickstart industry, but it's also to work with industry. So her area being a food scientist is formulation, which cuts across many of our industries, right from pharmaceuticals to food manufacturing. So there's nothing in there that they would not be interested in and could not use. Hence why they become so popular.
Wow. Thank you for coming by.
I hope it made sense at the end. But
Well,
it's an exciting
please
thing.
comment on our social media channels and let them know if it made sense. And if you need to know where to get hold of them, drop a line to our producer Ranga, and he can put you in touch.